everyone. This tutorial covers the Streamwise desktop assessment process for properties in New York. The key difference here from Vermont is how we access parcel layers. Vermont has integrated parcels in the atlas, but New York requires using county-hosted parcel maps. So one of the first things we want to do, as always, we can go to the Streamwise page, click this Assessors page, that opens up, scroll down, and we can launch the desktop assessment atlas, which we've already done over here. So we've got that tab open. The other thing we want to point out is that the Survey123 app is hosted here, so you can actually, if you're on this on your phone, you can hit launch Survey123. If you don't have this field app, you can download it here. You can open it in the browser, open it in the field app if you already do have Survey123. So that's an asset that you have access to there. And then also on the instructions, when you open this up, make this just a little bit bigger, but we have a QR code embedded in the instructions that will get you access to the app. We're going to close these two things because actually we do want to, while keeping this atlas open, show you that over here for the Survey123, we've got a slightly new process this year. You're going to have to sign in with your ArcGIS Online credentials, either your organization credentials that you shared with Streamwise or the generic Streamwise credentials. And then you'll have to go ahead and enter your password to get in there. And then once you sign in, you may not have any surveys initially. However, if you go to download surveys here, you can either search for the Streamwise field assessment, or because it's shared with your organization, you should be able to just download directly. And then once you go back, we actually have this Streamwise field assessment. That's the new version. We can click this, brings us to this page here, and now we're actually ready to collect. So we'll just open up collect. It opens up the survey page, and now we're ready to go. So really the first thing that we want to do here is we want to enter the address of our property over here in the atlas. And for this one, we've got a location in Chazy, or West Chazy, depending on who you believe. So here we are at our property here. And so we'll zoom out just a little bit. Notice we don't have parcel lines. This is in Clinton County. So we're going to go over here to this instructions tab. We're going to right click this Clinton County, open link in a new tab, and we're going to go to that parcel map. It gives you a little bit of a warning how these parcel lines aren't accurate or new. We'll hit OK. We'll click this search bar here. And then we'll just enter the address. It's a little bit different for whatever reason, so we just have to enter it like this. Click that a couple times, and it brings us to our parcel right here. So now we actually have parcel lines that we can use. And then we also do have a measurement tool on this parcel viewer as well. So here's our measurement tool. So just for reference there, because we have the parcel lines here, it's going to be more useful potentially in this view so we know exactly where the parcels are. So again, we can click that, and it works the same way as the Atlas one does. Again, switch between imperial and metric, things like that. We also have an option to measure areas. Should we want to do that, switch to acres. So now that we've got our parcel here, we've also got our property up on the atlas. We can close this down, close that down just to clean things up. Go over here, and we can hit our assessment status as to be assessed. And we can go back to this. What basin are we working in here? Well, we can just click the map, and it says that we're in the Chazy. Click that over here. The stream or river name looks to be the Little Chazy, so we can type that in. Scroll down. Notice that for this year, we do have a new feature in the atlas, which is this 50-foot reference layer. We put that around all the streams and rivers. So we want to determine an average buffer width on the parcel. And so we can try to kind of do it from here, or we go back to our county-specific parcel map, we grab that measurement tool, and then we just start measuring. We can kind of see that our stream line is right about there. Take a measurement there in feet. Couple hundred feet. Let's do a new measurement down here. That's huge. I mean, that's just 380 feet alone on the parcel. Maybe we'll do another one up here, again on the parcel, 150 feet. This is a pretty wide buffer overall, except for this little spot there. But if we're going to put an average width in our app, let's do something like 175 feet. The buffer canopy cover is very complete, except maybe for this little zone here. So let's put it at maybe 95%. Parcel size is most easily determined using this map, and so again, we can just click this, and it's going to give us a bunch of parcel information, but notice under acres, it gives us 8.5. So we can go back to our app and say that this is definitively larger than 1 acre. For structures within 50 feet, we can now use this buffer reference layer and start to look around. And essentially, we're not really seeing anything. Is this on the parcel? Unclear. We can go back over here. Might belong to this owner, might belong to the next owner. But we can see that there aren't structures within 50 feet or 15 meters, so we can click no. And now we can measure the total Streamwise buffer area. Now this might be easier using this buffer reference area because we just want to measure that 50-foot zone. So we can come back over here and get some basic reference points for where the parcel lines are. Notice this at that house, and it comes up here where this starts to narrow up. And so we can actually just use the measurement tool here and we come up with 1.3 acres approximately. Is there any impervious cover in this buffer? Well, let's turn off that measurement and then let's start to look around again within that 50-foot section. There's nothing here. There might be some here, and if we want, we can turn that buffer layer off. It's under regional and national data, the 50-foot buffer. So we can look, this looks like more riprap than impervious cover. So we'll say no, there's no impervious cover within that buffer area. Develop pervious cover, so let's turn this reference layer back on, and we can do a quick measurement of this area right here, because this is what's developed. We'll get an acreage for that at 0.05. Click in there. Is it less than 10%? It's auto-calculated. That's a yes. Now we can start to fill out some hydrologic soil group information. So let's open up the New York data. We have HSGs in there. So let's say turn off that 50-foot buffer reference. Let's turn this on and turn on the soil groups. And again, we can find information. This could be group AD, group BD. The symbols are basically the same. Or we can just zoom out slightly, click on that, and it'll give us group AD. So let's just check that down here. So that tells us the soils aren't great, but they're not terrible. We're not working in Quebec, so we can skip over that. Close that up. Is this a mapped floodplain? We don't have that specific data for New York. So let's just turn this off real quick. That's under regional and national data, so we can open that, make sure that that's visible, and then go down to this USA flood hazard area. And we can see that this property might have some floodplain on it, probably like a 100-year or a 500-year. So that's what this one says here. And then this purple color is the 100-year when we click that. So let's say that yes, it is, and we'll give it a type of 100 and 500. And then same thing here, we can turn off that flood hazard area, and we'll turn on the USA wetlands. And notice this pops up. It's across the stream from this property, so we can say no, there's no mapped wetland there. We'll turn off that USA wetlands layer. The NHD streams is going to give us that intermittent or perennial stream. So we can see that here, that's a perennial. Notice right down here we have this intermittent. Maybe it's a channel, maybe it's an actual intermittent, but that dashed line indicates intermittent. But on this property, we don't have that particular feature. We don't have good data for polluted or impaired waters in New York here. We've been trying, we can't get a good layer for that, so we're going to say no for right now. And that essentially wraps up the background or the desktop assessment information. Remember, if we want to create a map, we can turn on whatever layers we want to see. Like maybe we want to see that buffer layer, and we want to see the flood hazard areas so that we can show the homeowner later. We can click this, click print, this will spin for a while, and create us a map of this area as a PNG that we can then use this little paperclip to upload, and that'll give us a map that's attached to this record. Feel free to enter any notes you might need here, and that essentially covers the desktop assessment portion. The other thing that we can do in this is we can start to enter some background information. So when we go over to the app here, we can enter in the evaluator organization, and as we scroll down, the date auto-populates. We can enter the owner information from the parcel. We can click it here and it actually pops it up and shows you who this parcel belongs to. Although if they contacted you, you probably already know that. Again, you can enter the address here. It will eventually auto-populate from the geocoding. It's not the best, but it kind of works. Enter the phone number, mailing address if it's different, email. Notice we can enter property ownership, we can enter seasonality, we can round to the nearest whole number of years occupied. And then these two questions here are required. Permission to use information and photo release. There's no signature, We do like knowing whether or not they're willing to have their information used in outreach materials. And this is fairly important, actually, social media photos, if the owner is willing, getting a photo of the property, perhaps getting a photo of the owner during assessment or anything else that might be good for posts is really great. Again, we can enter some other information here, such as values and motivations, and we can record interested neighbors if there are any. Note that to save this, we hit that X, we choose Save in Drafts. Notice you can continue it or you can discard it. But once we save it in the drafts, now we have a drafts option. We can click that, we get our name, we get our evaluator organization, and when we click this, it allows us to go back into the app and to change things as needed. We'll also be able to go back into the app here to advance to the field assessment or to the award status. And then once we're finally done with this app and this record, we can hit this check mark and upload it to the database online, where we can still get access to edit it. But for right now, we're going to hit that X. We'll choose to save it in drafts. And then that just lives right there, and you can see that in your lists, and this will just take you back to the app. So that helps you get through the desktop assessment process for properties in New York.